Welcome to the first regular season episode of the Wall Hawk Insider, brought to you by Texas Bank with Coach Craig Slaughter. I'm Russ Howard, and so, Coach, let's just start right up with let's talk about last Friday night. Your quick takeaways.
Fun game. Came out healthy. Got great work. Ton of kids got to play. Ton of kids got to touch the ball, and it's an impressive start. And look excited to see them do it again.
Yep. So before we get too deep into some individual performances, and there were a lot of them, how do you, as a coach / coaching staff, put this game in perspective? Because it was well in hand, pretty much halfway through that first quarter.
Mason played as hard as they could. I was there. The kids on the field for them were tough kids. We just knew we had a pretty good size and speed advantage. So going into the game, there's a good chance that things go your way as long as you play how you should. And I thought we did. We kind of had a plan for how long do we want to let certain ones play, because again, you have to get ready for the next week too, and
right.
So some of those factors, weigh in there, but we thought we had the superior squad, and it showed up on Friday.
Yeah. So 48-7, the final score. You got to play a lot of guys. I mean, and this will this be? Don't let me presuppose anything, but how will this impact you as you get deeper in the season and you obviously have some injuries and you have to next man up?
No, it's definitely like still this Friday. There's still some spots that may be and it may not be starters, but maybe who's our third or fourth kid up. They may get more playing time than they will later in the season because we're still evaluating. Who that kid is exactly going to be. So you'll still see a pretty good rotation of dudes on Friday, just because there's some kids that we're still the evaluation process is still going on. And eventually, the depth of that team, I hope it doesn't have to show up because I hope you stay healthy as a horse. But there's certain weeks. Last year, we missed Barbie and Wiggins and Caleb Braden and Briggs. X amount of games. And it's just some of those next kids up playing. So I mean, that depth always comes into play. Kids roll their ankle or they getting their helmet fixed. I mean, all kinds of things. It's a competitive sport, and sometimes hopefully just tiny bad things happen. But it's next piece in, and you call the game however you call the game.
All right. So complete. I hate to say it like this. It just seems so demeaning to the opponent, but complete domination in all three. I mean, offense, defense, and even special.
Dude, I would. Hey, of all the things I was encouraged, our special teams. We missed a couple of extra points, but our punt returns were awesome. Our kick coverage. We were. I was so impressed, and that's really where some of that depth comes in too, because some of those kickoff kids. That's not first team defense. That's kids chomping at the bit to get on the field. So that was great to see also.
Oliver on especially on punt returns really jumped off the page. I know he had a couple of receptions too, but just incredible on those punt returns.
Oh no, he's one of my candidates. I'll put him for player of the week. I don't know if you'll get it, because a lot of times return yardage gets overlooked, but he had I think 3 returns for 85 yards, give or take, and including one to the 70-yard.
It was 92. He folded 92 better on yard.
But again, that's 9 first downs. That is it's even a challenge sometimes finding a kid to catch that punt, much less then go make 20 yards with it. So again, because sometimes when that thing bounces, it's a 20-yard turf bounce, and that could be a 40-yard field position swing potentially. So Kellen, crazy impressive night returning.
It was. So let's talk a little bit about obviously Landon York really wasn't challenged as much as he will be down the road, but 11 for 16, 168 yards, 3 touchdowns, did not throw a pick. Didn't need I don't think, did he even take a snap in the second half?
Hey, I think he did we gave him that first drive, so he took 3 or 4 snaps there, and obviously he's one, this week he will play more no matter how the game goes, because, I mean, he needs more game looks, he needs more, throwing with people around, and throwing in it, and I hope not, but, just, the feel of the game, Landon's one, if we will not beat these guys 65-0, but whatever the score is, Landon will play, most of this game.
Yeah. Okay. And, even Gunnar King came off the bench and 5 for 7.
Crazy impressive.
56 yards. Yeah, I was very impressed.
Including some really good runs.
Yes.
One of the media guys interviewed me after the game was like, Coach, Gunnar King would start for a lot of teams. I said, yeah, he would. Gunner's a kid with a ton of moxie and great athleticism. And, again, he'll be third year in our program, next year. I mean, he'll be very much in control going forward.
Yeah. So one of the questions I had in my mind, obviously if you didn't because you see these guys every day, but going into this one was who is going to step up at running back? And pretty much it was Neil. Really stepped up. I know we kind of did a running back by committee again because of the score, but
Yeah.
Neil really
Like-
had a great game.
Brady reminds me so much of Thomas, a really strong, fit kid. And Brady has all the potential in the world, and we really think Brady, if our season goes how we think, Brady will carry the ball more than anybody else. He's done a great job. He quick, strong, tough kid, and takes care of the ball. And so, I think Brady will have a great year.
Yep. And of course, not to take anything away, but obviously, Landon 3 carries, 38 yards.
Yep.
Can't sneeze at that. And Jagger Thompson 4 carries, 30 yards, and King, and we mentioned Gunner already, 4 carries, 25 yards. Overall, 30 carries for 185 yards as a team. You can't sneeze at that.
Yeah, very solid. Very few negative plays. Just always on schedule. And again, O-line I thought looked tremendous. Which is why so many of those different guys stepped in and had some impressive numbers. But no, that was a great start.
Yep. And then, of course, on the outside, and all these units, we kind of knew going into this what we had, right? So outside, though, especially, Reed. I mean, just another Reed game.
It's a free show.
Yeah, 3 catches, 72 yards, including that 51-yard catch and run. And then Kellen Oliver, 3 catches, 30 yards. And Evan Bailey, he came up midway through last year, came up from JV, and last night had 4 catches, 51 yards.
Yeah. And our kids are amazing, first of all. They don't get frustrated, and they just keep, like, we'll probably run more offensive plays, some of those games, the ball will find you more, and I thought the receivers blocked their tails off, which is such a compliment to Coach Gordon and all those kids, the standard he holds them to. But there was all those kids, will have their 100-yard nights at times, because I think we'll have more than our share of 300-yard passing nights, and so those yards won't always be distributed equally, but they'll all be certain nights they showcase their ability.
One thing that stood out to me and Jake Ward on the broadcast is the precision route running. Even up by a significant amount, they would still seem to be running crisp. And like you said, being willing to block on the outside.
Oh, for sure. They, again, credit to the coaches and, Launderholm, Gordon that work with those guys. They, all those dudes create space for themselves, and that's, it's a great feeling for Landon, one, with that O-line, two. There's if we know what coverage you're playing, Landon, I think, will pick you apart because those receivers will be in those open windows. Or if it's man-to-man, I think they'll create space for themselves. So, it's an impressive group.
And you mentioned the O-line. Absent that first play,
and to be fair, Landon helped ball forever on that play.
He did. Now, true. Yeah, but absent that first play of the game, I don't think they touched him again on a drop back.
I don't think they did. No, they, Landon is normally, and it did good again, getting rid of the ball, just that one play. But there's times we want him to hold on to the ball longer because you can,
Right.
That O-line is absolutely, we love how they're playing, love where they're at, and, those guys I think will get better and better.
Yep. Very impressed. So let's switch over to the other side of the ball for a moment. Let's give them guys some love. The 2 McFardens, 14 total tackles, 6 and 8 on these. What a heck of a night by them.
No, that's what it's funny. I talked to their parents after the game. They're just, just beaming, and it's such a special thing watching them side by side like that. But no, Bryson's a senior. That's kind of one of those kids that he was on the field some, but he's been waiting his turn. And then Caden has had such a good track season, summer. He kind of forced our hand, with getting on the varsity to start the year as a sophomore. But both those kids had great nights for sure.
Branch with 7 tackles, Sellers with 5. Just up and down. Jagger Thompson, 5 tackles in his own self. So great performance.
Yeah, very good distribution of tackles. And again, there'll be certain nights some teams move the ball a little better, and we'll get more plays on defense. We didn't play just a ton of plays, which I like, but again, realistically, there's certain times that teams will be a little more on scheduling things. And but we'll be ready when we have to play more too.
Right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come right back with the Wall Hawk Insider, brought to you by Texas Bank with Coach Craig Slaughter.
Robertson to his left again, and he's going to just hand it to Jagger. Let Jagger finish it off. Touchdown, Warhawks. That is an Alpha Paving touchdown. Just why not let Jagger Thompson finish it off? So why not? So snap.
Zero coverage. Oh, he's got it wide open. Great move off the line.
Reed Robertson, 15, 10, keeps his balance, 5, walks the dog, touchdown. Reed Robertson. Wow. No flag. Inside the Angelo MRI red zone now. York in the pistol.
Little power play right there. Good job getting downhill.
10-5, touchdown, Wall Hawks.
And here's the post-annex replay. You can see there's the counter. In crashes, there's the pull. Number 2's flat-footed, so York just goes ahead and pitch it. Let Barbie do his thing.
Yep. Almost a throwback to the old flex bone triple option days.
Right.
Only ran from the shotgun. So it's not like they completely did away with the triple option. They just run it from a different formation.
And you know, the other good thing about that, too, you see is the receivers on the outside. They don't have to be big blocks.
Yeah.
At Texas Bank, we believe in the power of relationships. Our roots are our customers, the lifeblood of our business. We're more than just a bank. We're your trusted financial partner, committed to building lasting connections and providing personalized service that exceeds your expectations. From helping you achieve your financial goals to supporting you through life's changes, we're here for you every step of the way. Experience the difference of banking with people who truly care.
See friendship being
Welcome back to the Wall Hawk Insider, brought to you by Texas Bank. I'm Russ Howard. He's Coach Craig Slaughter. So, Coach, week one's done. Let's put that in the review mirror. Looking out towards Brownwood. Last year, they came in here. It was a extremely competitive game. Just a couple of balls didn't go our way. Bounces didn't go our way. At the end of the game, lost 17-7. How do you take that, go on the road, and use that for motivation?
You know, we kind of got pushed around towards the end of that game. You know, I thought we got wore down a little bit. Our kids, we have one of our goals is Revenge Tour 2025. You know, anybody that got us last year, we would love if the schedules match up to get them this year. And obviously Brownwood week 2 beat us here. You know, incredible program. You know, one of the most storied West Texas programs there are. You know, just and again, going into the Lions Den, I know they have their little take the field procedure, and all those stars on that field, that means state championship. That's not, that's not district titles or something. It's a storied program, new coaching staff. They're coming off. I mean, losing to Abilene Wiley, which there's no shame in that. That's a huge quality program. But these guys will be chomping at the bit, to get that first win and get the snowball rolling their way.
Right. So one thing I did notice, and I went back and looked at this. I went and watched the skip through the Abilene Wiley game. They've transitioned their offense. They were kind of a pistol / spread offense. They've gone to pretty much an old school pro style I form.
Under center. Yeah, it's a lot of tight end, 2-back under center. It's very much a power run game. And you would think it sounds crazy, but today's game, you just don't see that a lot. So like that today, we're out there working your run fits and your, just where you need to be when this play happens. But they're a very downhill, aggressive, run the football team, very athletic quarterback, and their running back, man, he's a tough dude. I'm really impressed. Like last week, there are some plays he finds yardage, there's no yardage to find. And those kids always scare you because if they block it good enough to get 3, and then he gets, 6 more on his own, well, boy, that's they're on schedule where they want to be, and it's going to be so important that we get them off schedule.
Yeah. And along with that, and I know this sounds so formulaic and so trite, but it's going to all go back to tackling.
Oh yeah,
not letting them get those second.
Yeah, no, that back, and the quarterback, they're just that they're very good athletes. That they win a lot of those space battles that you have, and we need to. If there's going to be times we have one guy there, you have one guy, with the ball, and we need to be a good tackling team.
Yeah, and we talked about it. What I'm getting ready to say in the preseason special, we talked about the offense having to score more points until you know where the defense is. Well, obviously the defense really showed up against Mason, but Brownwood, a class up in the 4A, and a different style of offense than what you normally see. So how will this grade out for the defense? How will the defense? Will you take this game and say, okay, defense, show me what you got?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's a different type power running game. So it's, again, I trust our kids to play the game at a high level, and then do we tackle well, and I think we'll be where we're supposed to be most of the plays. It's just, does some of their special athletes offset some of our special athletes? Going back to last year's game, we were still finding who we were offensively, and I really think that, our coaching staff, our kids are much more comfortable in how we'll try to attack them too. Last year our one touchdown was Reed, made a freak show catch. I think it may have been the first drive of the game.
I think so, yeah.
Well, we're now much more in tune with how we get, like, for instance, that kid the ball. This is a game, Reed, I expect, is driving home with 6 or more catches. He's a kid that we will scheme touches for, where we will still kind of figuring out, at times last year, I think, how we were going to attack people, and, who those weapons were going to be and stuff.
Yeah. You mentioned going to Brownwood, the tradition that's there. Is that something you talk to the team about before you leave? Like, hey, we're going, or is that just something they understand growing up here around Brownwood?
I actually addressed it Friday night on this field, and I said, guys, next Friday, we're going into Gordonwood Stadium. I talked about the stars on the field, and I talked about the entrance, how they take the field. I mean, they'll have this announcer, you have the pleasure tonight of watching the, 6-time or how many state championships, but there's a little form, I've played there, before. So, it's an awesome venue. It's a great place to play. I'm excited to go be a part of this game. I just hope that we play well on our end and keep our side of the bargain.
Right. So let's talk time for just a moment, because I've seen 2 different times. What is one says 7:30, one says
it is 7 o'clock.
It is 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
So you heard it here from Coach Slaughter, 7 o'clock in Brownwood. You don't want to miss it. Coach, wish you well. We're trying something this year. We're going to be trying to do all the away games as well. So we'll be have the camera there. We'll be calling from the studio.
Okay.
So so if hopefully folks will go and show up and then watch it later. But if they can't, we will be broadcasting it. So
we appreciate that.
Yeah. So 7 o'clock, you heard it. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Hawk Insider with Coach Craig Slaughter, brought to you by Texas Bank. I'm Russ Howard. We'll see you next time. Take care. God bless.
At Texas Bank, we believe in the power of relationships. Our roots are our customers, the lifeblood of our business. We're more than just a bank. We're your trusted financial partner, committed to building lasting connections and providing personalized service that exceeds your expectations. From helping you achieve your financial goals to supporting you through life's changes, we're here for you every step of the way. Experience the difference of banking with people who truly care.